Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Multi-Continental Wrestling Alliance show, Shooting the Shit Uncensored. I'm your host, Piers Austin. Today, I'm joined by, two special guests. Firstly, my good friend, Mikey Bada Bing. Mikey makes all of our logos, all of our designs, and this is an opportunity for Mikey to come on and join me for an interview. Thanks for joining me, Mikey.
Piers, I appreciate you having me on the show, bud.
No problem at all. And guys, just want to do a special shout out to where we are streaming this show. Special thanks to Generational Wrestling Society, WCW Nation, Wrestling Maniacs for allowing them to stream on their pages. Also, we're streaming in Multi-Continental Wrestling Alliance on Facebook and on YouTube. If you are watching on YouTube, please make sure you click subscribe and follow our channel. Also, just want to make a special shout out to our sponsors, to Mayan Belts. So they make some amazing, incredible championship belts. If you want to get a replica belt made, hit up Eddie Williams and he'll be able to take care of you. Also, my other sponsors are A-Rock Designs. My good friend Ashley Rodriguez, she makes custom cups, hoodies, keychains, shirts, koozies, whatever you're looking for, she can make it and put great designs on that as well. Also, my last sponsor, not my least sponsor, but Signal Studios. A recording studio based in Sydney that's owned by a good friend of mine, but also does a lot of great music and stuff like that if you're looking to get some custom music for yourself to work if you're a musician or just want some music to listen to. But without further ado, my guest, Sonny Onoo. Sonny, thanks for joining us. Unfortunately, we're having a little bit of difficulties, so you are joining us in audio but not video. But Sonny, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure, Sonny, and I've been a big fan of yours for many years, seeing you in WCW, and reading up about your history and where you are from and your upbringing. And finding out that you actually moved to the United States from Japan when you were around about 11 years old. And I just wanted to ask you, how did you find, like, if you can remember, moving to the United States and moving to a country where at the time in that era, PC wasn't really around and you not speaking the English language fluently. How did you find that as a child, moving over to a new country and having to learn a new language and meet new people from different culture?
Experience. It's an adventure. My parents said that I would have a opportunity in the United States, and obviously they were right, and I embraced it, and lucky for me, I kept my Japanese language intact. When opportunity came around, when Eric Bischoff asked me if I still speak the lingo, and when he was trying to rekindle the relationship in New Japan Pro Wrestling, along with Brad, so I went over there just to help him, and before I flew home, he offered me a job to help him with the.
Yeah, right. So you mentioned Eric Bischoff, and that was one where I wanted to go. You've been friends with Eric Bischoff well before either of you were in the professional wrestling business. Yourself and Eric have a background in karate, and also kickboxing. Eric was a light heavyweight, you were a bantamweight, but you guys really hit it off and created a lifelong friendship. So how?
Yeah, your mic is cutting out though. But anyway, go ahead.
So obviously, when did you obviously start your friendship with Eric Bischoff? Where did you guys actually meet? Was it on the circuit? Obviously in the karate tournaments and the kickboxing tournaments as well.
Yeah, he was the at one of the martial arts school up in Minneapolis, which is about 100 miles north from me. I'm in Iowa. And for me, and when kickboxing was full contact karate, kickboxing was starting to really ramp up, and mid 70s. So I would go out there, and between the actual fights that we had, kickboxing fights, we would to a karate tournament, which is what Eric Bischoff and I would we're 20-year-old, United States, okay, and be able to fight without going to jail, and that was a fun time.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike, you want to sort of step in here, and you can sort of ask Sonny some questions here on what your thoughts are and what you would like to ask.
Sure, Sonny. I obviously grew up watching you as a young boy, and I completely respect what you've done for the wrestling industry and what you've done for my childhood. And I've always had one question for you: is where did the legendary suit and shades come from? Like, why was it always the suit and shades?
Well, I was kind of representing. You got to remember, when you were watching me live on television back in the days, before the bubble burst. So Japanese guys, Japanese businessmen they were buying up every golf courses and building in your hometown of New York. They were buying all that stuff up because
right.
Strong and dollar was cheap, and that's why a character, the rich Japanese, the manager, the character I played, the business. I wanted to come and buy WCW, and a wrestler from around the world. United States, as you know, Piers, you're from Australia, so you can certainly identify. United States believes, but a lot of Americans believe that America is the center of the universe.
Yeah.
And those are the people who believe that they're the center of the universe are people who never left the United States.
Sure.
They have no idea what Japan is like. South Korea service and almost the most people own cell phones or smartphones. They don't believe it.
Right.
Without a doubt, with 5Gs over there, as you know,
Yeah.
and people in the United States have a tendency to believe the U.S. is the center of the universe. Not to say to believe that the country that we live in is the best, but you really can't be that earthling. We think we can't believe that we're the most intelligent being in the universe. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
I'm all over the world, and country or in the world, you got to have something to compare with, and unfortunately, a lot of don't, have not traveled. So their experience is only, within their county or within their state.
Yeah. And so you mentioned, like, obviously when you're in WCW and you became an on-screen personality, but before that you mentioned Eric Bischoff invited you to go to Japan, obviously to go over there, and you're going into a meeting and you ended up being the translator with the New Japan guys. And for history serves me correct, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but management prior to Eric Bischoff in WCW took about $500,000 off New Japan with the agreement to send over WCW talent, and they took the money, but they never showed up.
Right. Well, what happened is, so Eric calls me one night about 8:30 my time. He was in Atlanta, and we're both just bought this brand new black Corvette, telling him about how fast it is. And I said, Eric, you've been drinking. I said, you need to slow down there. you need to slow it down. And so, and he said, hey, by the way, you still speak Japanese pretty good, right? And I said, yeah. I'm in martial arts, talk to other Japanese all the time. So, yeah, my Japanese. He said, well, listen, why don't you go with me? Because Eric and I wanted to do this thing later. But we wanted to pitch this martial art, like K1 type of event.
Yeah.
And he says, we've been talking about it. So it says, hey, we'll probably have a chance. That's what he told me. He said, I'll get you a ticket. We'll go in 10 days. So that week goes, leave in 3 days. I have nothing. I get no phone call. So and you know how sometimes when you call someone, they're working, they want to get you off the phone.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm expecting him to say, we're going to be going in 3 days. Got to get me off the phone. I go, hey, before we go, by the way, are we still going to Japan like day after tomorrow? Oh shit! You're the guy I was talking to.
What did he just have one or too many drinks and he forgot who he was talking to?
Yeah. Called later and says, hey, you got to get to Atlanta. We're leaving in 3 days. So I said, okay, I'll get to Atlanta. So, I'm not he talked about this, talk about our martial art thing that we've been talking about. So we, and had a great time because I haven't been there for a while. Of course, Eric, this is the first time for Eric. We stayed at Kyo Plaza in Shinjuku, which 2 blocks over from Red Light District. So I had a few drinks and had fun. And brother Eric can drink. I don't know how he is now, but he takes beer to my one. So anyway, so we have fun, and so next morning, we're wearing our cheap suit and going to New Japan office, which was New Japan office was in TV Asahi office, and of course they moved now, but so to the studio, and I just don't say nothing, just listen to what they say and tell me about it afterwards. I said, great, that's easy. So I'm sitting, you got to picture this, and to me, remember it was 20-something, almost 30 years ago, but you can imagine looking Japanese, you can imagine, we're talking about Sagaguchi, who was a heavyweight judo champion.
Yeah.
Olympic judo champion. And you got Ricky, another one of the guys who. All these guys are looking at us. And Baisho was there, who was their financial guy, and Tiger Hattori, which is their referee guy. He lives in New York, speaks English very well. So I'm expecting Tiger Hattori, to just translate for Eric. So all of a sudden, Sonny, you translate. Talking about getting put on a spot. That was good. I'm going, oh. So, but worse, no crib sheet. In other words, I don't know anything about. Literally, I have no idea what pro wrestling, aside from being a fan and going to watch AWA back in the. I have no idea. So the first thing, and I'm translating word for word. So and he says, first I would like to apologize. I said, we got 5, looking at us like, who wants to throw us in a river? We're going to end up Tokyo Bay. I mean, they're not smiling. They're not even crack of. They look like they want to just like they're looking at us like, why are you here?
Yeah.
And then first, I would like to apologize. And I said, I haven't done anything. This is the first time I met these people. What are you talking about? I'm thinking that. And next thing he says is, well, management taking you money, and I would like to try to make that up relationship that we were supposed to have. And as I'm translating, I'm hearing in my ear and translating, realizing, caring for that $500,000 in Japan to use WCW talent. And it is talent. So it was like we took their $500,000 and did nothing.
Wow.
Yeah. So now I know why these people want to throw us in a total bag.
Out for blood.
So anyway, and basically said, hey, listen, I like to make that up. Would like to for the give me a chance, because this is before the Nitro started, but we needed those. And they wanted WCW superstars. We had guys like Hall and that, and so it was good business for everybody. But it turned out that Eric says, "Hey, you can use all the talent, the long stare now." And Master Saito says in Japanese, he says, "Who is going to be a?" Because it's been issued. I will call you after, and we'll get a bunch of runaround. And by that time we get an answer, it's usually no, because they're in some kind of. And Eric, without a skipping beat, says, "Oh, that'll be." And I'm looking at him like, "Wait a minute! I don't work for you. I just came here for a good time."
And you left with a job.
As soon as the meeting gets over. No, I wasn't even looking for a job.
Well, I know, but I'm saying you left Japan with a job.
Yeah. Eric says, as soon as the meeting is over, Eric says, "Okay, all you have to do is to answer the phone, what to say," and he assures that he will always take my. So you'll have no problem with the contact, and I will always take Sonny's call, and that's what. So that was satisfactory, and that's in Japan, WCW, which happened to be a great thing for both companies. Turned out to be the best angle they ever had in New Japan is NWO Japan.
Oh,
they were selling, even to this day, licensing from WWE to sell the NWO T-shirt in his store. He's got a clothing store in Tokyo and Ginza, which is he's so they were told they made something like $7 million, and I was told Osaka a year and a half ago or 2 years ago when I went to Osaka, and one of their former employees that used to work there told me that it was over $7 million in 1998.
Wow.
Still, you got to remember, back in the day, still selling that T-shirt for $7.
How much? Sorry.
They were selling that piece, and people would come to the event. The angle was so hot that people would come to the event, buy the T-shirt, and leave and not watch a match.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So how did you, like, obviously you, when you started in that role as the point person for New Japan, was that, how did you find that role? Was it very demanding, or was it, were you like getting calls at 24 hours around the clock, or was it, a pretty laid back sort of deal?
No, it was really easy. Matos was very easy to deal with, and we also had a guy named Brad Rangens. I believe he's an 88 Olympian from the United States who wrestled in AWA, and he was my counterpart from New Japan, and he lived up and so it was really easy. I mean, they asked for talent to work with, because he wanted to make sure this relationship. So he was, and what's really interesting is that, and I don't think a lot of people don't know this, one of the probably the biggest angle in the NWO Japan angle, because Chono and Muda became a version of New Japan, the counterparts. Big stars from New Japan who became anti-New Japan, was anti-WCW. So NWO Japan, Tenzan and Hiro Saito and few they had their own stable and the most profitable. And what I'm going to tell you now is something you probably won't believe, but it's a fact. Eric Bischoff never charged to say, that's our angle, and we want X number of dollars for that. That never happened. It was just a talent exchange program that got bigger. They were paying talent, got bigger. And you got to remember, because of that relationship, Benoit, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, we took those guys off. When I say we, Eric took them off, put them on WCW payroll, and New Japan to use their talent under the umbrella of a talent exchange program. So they as anymore, because we were paying them, or WCW was, because of talent exchange program, they got to use their talent over there as well. So it was really a win-win. The point I want to make to you is that Eric never per se charged Angle. There was never. They did it because the relationship Eric had was mine. Yeah. They were great friends. We were all great friends.
And how did you transition? Look, I'll ask this question, and then once you answer it, I'm going to throw it over to Mikey. But how did you find the transition from going to backstage in the professional wrestling business to then being on camera? Whose idea was that to put you on camera? Was that Eric's idea, or was that something that you wanted to do, or was it something that was presented to you?
Well, it was presented to me, and it was pretty nice. I mean, I because of my martial arts, I done some movie. I done a movie. I've been on the front of the camera, but certainly not a live event like wrestling, or not knowing how wrestling. I mean, I learned it, just by fire. And especially, especially in Japanese wrestling, it's really still kayfabe. At that time, it was really kayfabe. About even to this day, some of that still goes on.
Sure.
What happened was that my requested that we use some of their talent to come to the United States. That we use them because, as you know, since we had a big television contract worldwide, talent will be on WCW and present them in good light for making from what we did. He made them, when they got home back to Japan, made their statue much bigger.
Yeah,
that was the reason why Masa and New Japan won, and we did that for them. And but one of the obvious problem was none of them spoke English. So Masa says, I'm the only guy. Let's create this character. And Masa Saito is the guy who came up with that Sonny Onoo. You're the rich businessman, little money, and we had so much fun doing it,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Never once while I was when we did the Sturgis event, we did a taping at Mount Rushmore, where all the presidents of stat.
Yeah.
And there was a Colonel Parker, I think it was a Colonel Parker was trying to sell me to Mount Rushmore. And there was actual fans, the actual man was walking around at the park, and they're watching, Colonel Parker trying to sell me, and I want to pull my face, and I want to reflect. So that's Lincoln. Okay, let's take his face off and put Sonny Onoo's face on there. And people were actually really getting upset, but that's the fun part.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mike.
Absolutely.
Mike, you want to take it away?
Absolutely. So, Sonny, obviously, we can sit here for many, many, many hours and talk about wrestling back then and the stuff that me and Piers grew up on. How would you compare wrestling from then to wrestling now? What has changed, and what has changed for the better, and what has absolutely changed for the worse?
I think one of the things that really changed more than anything else is that when you let's take WWF, mention it. When they say, hey, it's entertainment,
Right.
When they, kind of, I understand why they did it and so on, but, when too many fans are smart, it kind of takes the fun out of it.
Sure, absolutely.
To a certain degree. You need, because of internet and everything now, you got a lot of people out there talking about behind the scenes, movie. I know the Fish was becoming a general out there fighting the Star Wars out there, but I don't need somebody to hear in my ear, he didn't really die,
Right.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
I want to immerse myself into the. I want to, and mind you, professional wrestler does is without a doubt it's art form.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's without a doubt.
I 100% agree.
Mm-hmm.
A splash from, and I'll tell you that story one of these days. But I tell you what, it's there's nothing fake about a guy who weighs 250 pounds standing on 5-foot turnbuckle, doing splashing you. And he says to me, here's the finish. I said, okay, great. So I said, so brother, this is Jimmy the Snooker comes up to me and goes, you have to catch me. I said, excuse me? No. Man's flying through the air, 10 feet up in air. Jimmy the Snooker. So those are the things those are the 5 memories I have, and I could a week after that. You know what I mean?
I can imagine it.
Right.
So, Sonny, we've got a question.
No, to answer your question, I think it's a lot more entertainment. You know,
Right.
And certainly, personally, I've always been Joshi, which is women wrestling, because the women who wrestle now certainly can work. They're amazing.
Oh yeah.
But they were just eye candies. And
right.
and I mean, but we were so ahead of the time. If you remember, when we brought Akira Hokuto, and when Bona and the Medusa, who all trained in Japan. Medusa trained in Japan as well.
Mm-hmm.
And those girls wrestled, you know what I mean? They could, and not only they could go, but they could go for real.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're ahead of the time. You know what I mean? Because there was some amazing wrestling by a group from Gaia Japan and a group, and I was at the United States for the first time. I think that was the first time, and mid-90s, you got to see women wrestling as professional wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I tell you what, I can almost tell you those are more stiff. Maybe because they were female and they were trying to prove they were stiff as you could be. I mean, I've seen some stuff that. Now go back and look at some.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You definitely see it back then that they were out to prove a point. I mean, you look at Medusa, as a prime example of that era. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't call her a TNA, type of female wrestler.
No.
Go out there and beat the living breaks off of girls, and she was an incredible worker.
And she could do that with some of the guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Sonny, we've got some live questions coming in from our audience. Christy Black Adams, a good friend of mine and one of the admin for Multi-Continental Wrestling Alliance. She asked, Sonny, if you could change one thing in your career, what would it be?
Not that much, really. I mean, I had such a great time. I wish I could have worked in Japan a little more. I mean, I did get to go on a few tours with New Japan, in Japan, so we didn't get to do that. Not much, really. I had a great time. I always knew that it wasn't going to last forever, so I rode that big wave. I had a great time, and is the family that you become with the wrestlers and the people you travel with, weeks at a time. So that's what we miss.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's so awesome, because you hear people that were in the wrestling industry, you could sit there and name 101 things, and yet you come on here and say every single piece, no matter good or bad, was still a good time. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's I think you come to have an appreciation of what you've been given in your life and the opportunities to do that.
Sure.
Sonny, you were managing Ultimo Dragon when he was the J Crown champion, when he had the 8 or 9 belts, and there's an iconic photo of him with those belts, and obviously there's many iconic photos with you and him together. You were managing him during that process. How did the whole J Crown sort of come about, and having someone with about 8 or 9 titles? So obviously the first bit of the question I want to know is, how did it come about? And the second part of the question is, do you think having one wrestler with 8 or 9 different championship belts at the same time was a bit much, or do you think that it served its purpose and it did make history in wrestling? So,
yeah, let me give you a lot of people don't know as well. You know, the J Crown thing was happening in Japan. Clearly, with that was New Japan, and a lot of the All Japan people were putting that together to create the best cruiserweight from all over the world. At that time, the Ultimate Dragon was. I think but one of the belts that we couldn't show on WC, he's the only person in history that had WCW and WW at the time belt at the same time. He held the belt.
Wow.
That's
something that
that was the WWF light heavyweight title. And that was like the split of the J Crown. It was when WWF wanted to crown their light heavyweight champion. That's when Taka Michinoku won the light heavyweight title in '97. But so I mean, what was your thoughts on one wrestler having 8 or 9 belts? Do you think that it was a good storyline? Do you think it was a bit over the top having that many titles?
I think it was good. Whenever you put that kind. What's the amazing thing, what you should really think about, is that getting that many companies to actually work together was pretty amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's even inconceivable right now. Imagine getting AEW and WWE to work together. That's never going to happen. So you can, 2 company, let alone 10 company, work together to allow that belt to go. Which is unthinkable. Then it's a lot of people thought that was a good business and got it done, and it was a good business. He didn't last a long time, but he made his.
Yeah, no, it definitely made history, and I think they could have had it go for a lot longer than what they did. But obviously, WWE stepping in and going, well, because I think '97 was when cruiserweights were really starting to take off. In America, and I probably think Western countries in professional wrestling. So it's not a real big surprise there. So, Mike, you want to take over for a bit?
Oh, sure. I've got childhood questions lined right up for you, Sonny. All right, Sonny. Where did the title of the Innovator of Selfie come from, and who exactly gave it to you?
I think I just put my phone back on the charger so that I don't lose you guys. So I'm charging the phone as we speak. So I hope you can hear me.
Yep.
What happened was, you got to remember, the camera was my idea, the Fuji camera, the little green box, the disposable camera. And what it was that the stereotyping Japanese was that they, had a camera around their neck, and the tourist was always taking pictures. And so we said, well, okay, we want to memorize, the moment I'm out on a stage or when we make our entrance. So, and we can't have a camera, although we had a camera, but we said, well, let's just do we'll just do a little selfie. I'll just take my own picture. The selfie before it was called a selfie, because the cell phone, the smartphone wasn't.
Right.
And I'm sure people who took a picture of themselves before I was on, but I was the first one on television. And every time I made an entrance, I took a picture of so I could probably, so I can honestly, unless somebody can prove me wrong, I'm the one who was doing the selfie before anybody else. Television week in and week out.
There you go. You hear it.
There you go.
Heard it here first. The innovator of the selfie, the creator of the selfie, Sonny Onoo.
The Godfather, the man that created the selfie, folks. Bow down.
The kingpin of social media, so to speak. So, Sonny, yeah, I wanted to ask you a question, and feel free to sort of, you know, not if you don't want to, but my question I wanted to ask, about a year ago, Game Changer Wrestling came out and made a pretty public statement about a dealing with you, which didn't come to fruition. You know, obviously, a lot of people have heard about it, but what's your, you know, what's your take on it?
Did we lose him?
Hello, Sonny, you there? Hey, Sonny, can you hear me?
He did mention his phone was on the charger. Phone might have died.
Can't hear you, Sonny. No, can't hear you. No, sorry, can't hear you. Hold on one sec. You want me to hang up and call you back? We're just trying to work. No, let me hang up and I'll call you back. No, I'll hang up. I'll call you back. I'll call you back. All right. So sorry about that, guys. We're just having a few technical difficulties, guys. You know, we never have these issues usually, guys. So I'm terribly sorry. We're doing the best that we can to bring you this interview. I'm just going to try and bring Sonny back in. So just give me a sec, guys. But you're a very interesting guy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, Sonny, much better. Much better. So, Sonny, I'm not sure how much of my last question you heard, but I'll just repeat it for you. So, Game Changer Wrestling, they came and they. So Game Changer Wrestling, they came out last year and they made a statement saying that they tried to arrange to make a booking with Great Muta. They had everything all booked, ready to go. Then they made some comments and allegations that you stepped in as the middleman for the Great Muta once everything was all done, and sort of reorganized or tried to plan what the events were. I don't. Do you want to comment on that? Do you want to provide your side of the story for that?
Well, it's really simple, really. I mean, first of all, they never had a deal, from what I understand. Basically, what happened was this guy named Kitaro, who's a wrestler, a Japanese guy who lives in Las Vegas. They approached him to ask Muta's office for an event on the 3rd of April, which is today, actually. So there were discussions, and they talked the money, but that was it. They didn't talk about any details of who's picking him up at the airport. None of those little things, you know. They just said, yeah, he'd be interested in doing it. That's as far as he got.
Yeah.
No money was ever exchanged hands. There was no deposit, any of those things. So Muta's office contacted me, and Kitaro contacted me and says, hey, can you help me out? Of course, I'm speaking to them in Japanese. And can you help me out? Because I have done Representative Muta, StarCast events, and WrestleCade events. And, you know, Muta and I go back about 30 years.
Yeah.
So,
right.
And our families are friends. You know, my wife has babysit, you know, their firstborn. So we have a relationship.
Yeah.
So
sure.
when Kitaro, the guy in Vegas, Japanese guy, he was having a problem with getting all these answers, all these little details. So Muta's office actually, he asked me when I was at the WrestleCade in North Carolina, I'm going to be there on the 3rd. You know, they're asking me to be there on the 3rd. Can you get me other booking? Because I want to, I'm going to bring my family. So I said, sure. I can do that. So I arranged him to work WrestleCon for signing. Got a sponsor who also works at Disney, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, can you get him some perks over Disney?" And he said, "Sure, we can get him the VIP pass, and put him on the Disney Complex Hotel, which is pretty expensive, $400 or $500.
Absolutely.
And get him a VIP pass so he doesn't have to wait in line, and a bunch of other stuff, which I won't go into. But it was pretty cool perk.
Yeah.
So when I got back into when I contacted my contact with them was a guy named by Brett. I think he's one of the owners. And he says, we want to do the whole thing. I said, no, I already got another people who's doing the signing part. He said, no, we want the whole thing or nothing. I said, well, I'll talk to the Matos office. And please understand, I'm not the one who's making the decision.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can only tell you what he said or what he wants.
Yeah.
So Matos office already have agreed to work to WrestleCon signing, and their initial request was him to work their show on the 3rd. Well, that got into we want to do the whole thing or nothing. That's what he exactly said to me. I said, well, if it's whole thing or nothing, it's got to be nothing.
Sure.
And so we had a deal, and I said, you never had a deal with me. I said, and according to Matos' office, you guys never exchanged hands. And I, like I said, you can ask Tracy over to WrestleCade, or who I done business with, and Conrad Thompson, or anybody I done business with when I represent any Japanese wrestler. Just like if you ask me to bring somebody to you, or if I'm going to work for you, I'm going to ask for half deposit before you can advertise me.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, those guys were advertising Muda before they spent a dime. Yeah,
right. So you're saying that they jumped the gun before they really had a deal.
Way over.
And so they can say they had a deal, but I know they didn't have a deal with me. And Muda's office telling me they never gave a permission to advertise them or anything else. So end of the day, they did not spend a dime. They did not give any deposit. They were advertising him back in November before they even had any kind of agreement. We don't sit there and talk. You and I can say, hey, I'm gonna bring Great Muda to your show, but this is what it takes. And you can ask Tracy or Conrad. In order to protect you and in order to protect them, it's always the same. I hang on to the money. If Muda doesn't show up, I pay you back, right? I mean, at least you know you have me to sink your teeth into.
Sure, absolutely.
You can't get your money back from.
Yeah, exactly.
And vice versa. We can't show up the show and the guy says, I'm going to pay you after the show. We're not going on. You pay us when we land. That's always the deal.
Yeah.
When we get to the hotel, when we get to the arena, we get paid.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it makes sense. Especially in the wrestling business, there's always been that that level of shadiness with certain characters. Not saying yourself or GCW are shady, but I just think there's always two sides to every story, and that was one of the questions that I really wanted to ask. But look, Sonny, we're getting to almost the 1 hour mark here, and I want to start winding it up here with you. Mikey, have you got anything you wanted to sort of jump in?
Just one more question for you, Sonny. Me personally, Ultimo Dragon was my favorite that you managed. In your words, who is your absolute favorite superstar that you managed during your long, beautiful career?
Well, I was fortunate enough to manage, manage so many great athletes.
Sure.
Akira Hokuto was one of them. Bon Nakano was other.
Yep.
Great Muda, Chono. But the most fun I ever had was with Ultimo Dragon.
That's awesome.
But far as being on the road, because he would come in. We do, he was from Mexico, so he would do a show and he would go back. But
right.
I didn't do a lot of house show either. So the only time I was on the road a lot of time was with like Ernest Miller with the Cat.
He's one of my favorites, man.
But Cat was, my role as when I was managing the Japanese talent, all the great Japanese talent, I was their mouthpiece. Which made sense, especially creating a storyline. You got to be able to speak and do interviews, and I was their mouthpiece. But with Ernest, it was a totally different deal. Ernest, I was like his sidekick, right? I was the reason why he lost. And if you go back and look at a lot of Ernest's matches, he has done more job than anybody else I know. But yet you don't remember that. You remember that he was so freaking entertaining.
He was so good that, like, even as a heel, like, I remember watching when I was like probably like 15 or 16 and just going, I want to kick his ass. And he's a karate black belt, and I'm like some 16-year-old kid who'd like, he just like sidekicked and knocked my head off. But Ernest was like, honestly, when you and him were partnered up, you guys worked so well together. You worked so well.
What was really nice, and you got to give this to WCW and Jimmy Hart, who was doing all the non Monday Night Nitros, like Saturday Night TV taping and other shows. They would let us do our own thing. We could come up with some angles and we go, hey, one time we were doing a Saturday Night TV taping, and it was Ernest Miller versus Prince Ikea. So I went to the booker, Calvin Sullivan. I said, hey, can we do a little thing? And I said, can we go up and before get up in a ring, and I could get really excited and go up to Ernest and goes, hey, guess what we got? Guess what we got for a guest tonight? Yes. What are you talking about? Ernest would say, we have Prince, the Purple Rain.
Yeah.
And Mike, and we start singing Purple Rain. And of course, Prince Ikea would come on. And next week, I went to Kevin Sullivan, who was our booker, and I said, Kevin, we got a guy named by Al Green. It was a white guy, big buff wrestler, and I said, so next week's TV taping, let me get up on a mic again and apologize to Ernest about confusing Prince with Prince Ikea. I'm sorry, but for tonight, for sure, we got Al Green. Let's get together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we do that. So we got to do those little bit things like that. So it was, they allowed us to do a lot of things that was really a lot of fun. And like I said, I was Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker thing with Ernest and I.
Yeah.
we were both artists and we were doing that stuff. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you know what? Ernest to me was a guy that like he could have been so much more in the professional wrestling business.
Oh, absolutely.
He had a short cup of coffee in WWE. He was an announcer back in I think.
They didn't use him right.
He such an entertaining guy, especially around that time frame.
Oh, he is.
He could have fit right in well into the mid card there, even to a main event level. Like he could have.
Sure.
But also he was also the WCW general manager for a while as well, and again he could have been put into a role like that where he's just so good. Like his mic skills are next level.
Yeah, and and he's so physically talented because his background, even now, I think he's like 50s. He's like 54 years old, and he still competes at senior division in martial art tournament as a heavyweight. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
So, Sonny, look, I think that's all the questions we have for you for today. But where can people find you on social media?
Oh, you can find me on Facebook under Sonny Onoo. You'll see the guy, the little cartoon guy, was doing the selfie. So yeah, this guy right here.
Yeah, there you go. So, but also, Sonny, have you got anything coming up? Where any shows that you're going to be taking part of? Are you going to be involved in the future? Obviously, with this whole coronavirus, everything's a bit unknown. But have you got anything you'd like to plug at all?
Well, we have an event July, I believe, the 29th up in Minnesota. It's Fortune Bay Mania, which is a big casino. I have a great motor book there. And those people have given me a deposit, so they're advertising. So it's not that hard to do that kind of business. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And we're booked for that. Of course, all the stuff that's going on this weekend all got canceled with all the event that was done. But look for as the year goes on, and hopefully this coronavirus thing will be going away. Watch for a great movie to make a big splash in Disney World, Disneyland, near you, coming to one of the big places. Not in Japan, in the United States. So we got some stuff cooking here. So
beautiful.
It fits right in that Star Wars stuff,
Oh, absolutely. bring the great mood to Australia, man. Us Australian wrestling fans would love to see him. So.
Yeah,
and you as well, Sonny, as well. So I'd have to. I'll show you. Eric Bischoff's got nothing on me when it comes to drinking beer.
Yeah, I know you guys are famous down there with what is this, shrimpy on the Barbie, or whatever you guys call it.
Oh yeah, the tagline is throw shrimp on the Barbie, but we don't throw shrimp on the Barbie. We do snags, steaks, but we don't throw our we call them prawns. But we don't put prawns on the Barbie. But that's a more famous old stigma. But
Let me ask you one question, since you've been asking me all these questions.
Of course.
Wasn't Australia originally a penal colony for England?
Yeah, it was. So Australia was.
So the question is, so all you ancestors were criminals in Australia?
Yeah. Yeah, unless
wow.
unless you're Aboriginal, and they were they were the native people, and so basically our ancestors are criminals. So that's exactly how it happened. The UK, the
professional wrestling fits in really well in Australia.
to a certain extent, I think it does. But I like to think the Australian race has evolved much past that. So I can definitely speak for myself. I'm not a criminal. So and I definitely don't know. Well, I used to know criminals, but not anymore. So. But Sonny, look, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. It's been a real pleasure to have you.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to hopefully getting you back on again very soon, if we can, once we work out the video issues and get you back on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And you guys take care, especially in New York. And stay healthy, and hopefully you guys we all make it through this thing, and I'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sonny. Thank you for an awesome childhood. Thank you for being you and what you've done for the wrestling business, and it was a complete honor talking to you, bud.
Thank you very much for having me.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much, Sonny, and we'll talk soon, buddy. Thank you.
All right, man.
Bye.
Talk to you. Bye.
So that was Sonny Onoo, everyone. First of all, I just want to apologize for the issues that we had. We came on a little bit late. Sonny was having issues with his phone and also his computer, so we had to improvise. We did make the show happen. It wasn't our usual show, but you know me, guys. I always do my best to deliver, and I never want to let you guys down, especially when I say I'm going to bring someone on. So, guys, like I said, sorry it wasn't our usual show, but I did my best to do what I can. So, Mikey, how did you find the doing the interview with Sonny?
Come on, man. That's childhood stuff right there. I mean, this was kind of like almost like a dream come true, man. From sitting there, like you said, with watching him on TV with Ernest and Ultimate Dragon, Muda, everyone. Like this is just it's reliving it, and it all came back, So it was something that I'll hold near and dear to my heart for a while. And I appreciate you, Piers, for having me on. Honestly, I hope we do this again. I've had an absolute ball. So like I said, once again, thank you, my friend.
No, man, absolutely. And, my show is Shooting the Shit Uncensored. So we do have a very laid back attitude towards our show. And that's what our guests really appreciate about it as well. So, guys, look, just want to do a special shout out to Generational Wrestling Society, WCW Nation, and Wrestling Maniacs for allowing me to stream this show in their groups every week. Also, you can find us on Multi-Continental Wrestling Alliance on Facebook and on YouTube. If you please head over to YouTube, click the subscribe button. Please follow us so you can see more of our content that we put out weekly. We put out, 3-4 shows each week, or 3 shows each week, and we're always trying to put out the best content we can. And guys, look, I just want everyone to stay as safe as possible in these trying times. If these interviews that I'm bringing on for you guys are able to give you some form of escape away from what's going on and give you something to watch and something to look forward to, then so be it. If not, I hope you find something that does give you that distraction.
Absolutely.
Mikey, we don't tell everyone where they can find you.
Oh yeah, you guys can. First and foremost, you guys can find me over at the Boiler Room here on Facebook. It is a wrestling promo league. If you want to relive your childhood dreams, or just have fun, make brotherhood, or potentially win a title in our league, join us there at the Wrestling Boiler Room, the Voice of Honor. I'm here on Facebook. It's where most of the time you can find me at.
Absolutely, and I find myself just getting lost on that page so many times, just going there
Absolutely.
And watching promo after promo. So, guys, look, without further holding you guys any longer, thank you so much for tuning into our show today. Again, I am so sorry that it didn't go as planned as my usual shows, but as the saying is, shit happens. You just make the best out of a shitty situation. I believe me and Mike were really able to come together and pull something off for you guys. So, guys, thank you very much. My name is Piers Austin. This is Mikey Butterbing. We're signing out. Thanks for watching, guys. Love y'all.